Now, for those in the audience getting to know you for the very first time, care to share where you were born?
I am born and raised in Washington, D.C., but I claim the whole DMV because that is literally where I'm from. I put on for my city. I have a lot of support system there, so I just say I'm from the DMV, but I'm from Washington, D.C.
Now, technically speaking, how long were you raised in Washington, D.C. for? Rough estimate.
Um, Probably until I was. How old are you when you're in the sixth grade? Like 12, 14?
Personally, don't know here, but you could say grade if you want instead of age.
So I was in DC and I was in DC schools up until I got into the sixth grade.
And then what happened?
I transitioned to Maryland, and that's when life changed.
In a good or bad way?
A bad way.
Care to shed some light on that?
So as soon as I got to Maryland school, I feel like I turned into a different person than how I was when I was in DC. And it could have been because I've gotten older or whatever the case may have been. But I got put out of high school. I was suspended a lot. I was just following the wrong crowds when I was in Maryland. And it didn't take for me to actually literally get put out of my first high school and to go into a whole different county for me to literally change my life around.
And just for historical purposes here, so born and raised in Washington, D.C. up until sixth grade, then you moved to Maryland.
Yes.
And then how long do you remain in Maryland for?
Till current. So I'm still in Maryland.
Care to share your current age at this point?
I'm 21.
And is it a particular part of Maryland?
PG County.
And does it get any more specific than that?
No, just PG County.
Okay, now what was that really like growing up in PG County for you?
It's definitely different from DC. Like DC people and Maryland people, two different type of people. But being in Maryland, it just showed me that there are people who are really grimy, even though that can be anywhere. But in Maryland, it's just like, it's so different in Maryland. But, and yeah, like I said, it just literally changed me as a person. It made me turn into one of them, knowing that's not who I was.
Now, you've already shared a glimpse of possibly the next answer to the question you're going to be asked, but going to ask you formally here, just in case you want to expound on what you've already said, and if not, we'll move forward with other questions. But the question was going to be, what was the bottom point for you during your upbringing in PG County? What was your lowest point or most negative moment growing up in that area?
I would say when I got put out of high school. So okay, let me just backtrack. So I got put out of my original first high school for a fight that literally wasn't even my fight. So when I got into this fight, though, I was fighting a boy. The boy had put his hands on me, and then another girl had like jumped into the fight or whatever. So being a YouTuber and entrepreneur or whatever, you know, people know my name, they know my face. So there was a video going around saying I got beat up and all this big crazy stuff. So when it was time to have the mediation that they do before you can go back to school, in the mediation room, my parents and my school principal got into it really bad. I got an email that same night saying, you can't return. So after that, I was really upset because I didn't want nobody to think that, oh, I stopped coming to school because I got beat up, even though I didn't get beat up. But, you know, that's not what it was. Then I transitioned to a whole different county. I had to live with my dad for a while because that's where he was staying at. But I'm super grateful and super blessed to my other school that I did graduate from, John F. Kennedy, because it really turned my life around. When I say it really changed me, like it really changed me. That's when I started getting more consistent with my YouTube. My grades were better. Everything was perfect.
Now, care to share the name of the first high school initially?
Flowers High School.
You did mention it in another portion of questions, but just for the context of this one, asking you again. And what was it about that other school you were able to blossom in the description you just presented?
It was just a different atmosphere. I feel like a lot of PG County schools are fucked up, like point blank period. But Montgomery County schools, it's just something about it, like the education system, the teachers there, they actually want to see you win. When I was in When I was in Flowers, I had a teacher call my cheerleading coach lying on me, saying that I was doing something that I didn't really do. And my coach didn't believe me because I was already a troublemaker, so it didn't make it no better. But when I transitioned to my other school, I told her, I said, I don't feel like I can do this class, but she continued to push me. They always motivated me, saying, like, no, you can do this. If you need anything, call my number. I just didn't have that at Flowers. At Flowers, that school is all over the place. Don't recommend.
Now, that fight, was that actually captured on video, or was it just commentary about the
No,
fight?
it was on video.
Something that's still publicly available.
If somebody has it, I don't know if I still have it on my channel or not, but I did do like a video on that. I'm sure somebody still has it though.
When you said you did a video on it, was it commentary on your end about your perspective and things of that nature? But there was actual video footage of the physical altercation.
Yes. And I put the video in there so I can break people down on how the video went.
Like a play-by-play.
Yeah.
And zooming out here, again, historically speaking, what ages or what grades do you think you were actually raised in PG County itself? Was it 6th grade to Montgomery County?
6th grade, yeah. So 6th grade to like the beginning of my 11th grade year.
Got it. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, what was before I even ask you the opposite end of the spectrum, let's talk about the bottom point, just a few more questions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it comes to PG County and that time that you experienced in that location, how were you able to survive that upbringing? Was it just the change of scenery of Montgomery County, or was it something even more in-depth than that?
It was the change of scenery, and I feel like literally as soon as I got put out of high school and I transitioned to a whole new school, my grandmother had passed away. So I didn't know that my grandma was getting ready to die while all this was happening. Everybody else knew but me. So I was doing all these bad things while my whole family stressed out because we're about to lose my grandmother. But I didn't know that. So I feel like not knowing what somebody else is going through and I'm just worried about myself, that really changed me and made me a better young woman who I am today, because I was like, I can't be moving like this. So the atmosphere and that experience, definitely. Also my channel, I became more consistent with that, and I realized that people are actually looking at me and watching me, so I can't be moving the way that I was moving before.
Now, for those in the audience getting to know you again for the very first time, care to share the channel name on YouTube for you?
Yes, my channel is Princess Tommi, Tommi.
And this grandmother you're referencing on the mother or father side of your family?
My father's side.
Now, there are some people who say things like, don't know if I'll make it to see the age of 18. Maybe 21, for example. Did you have any of these thoughts yourself growing up in PG County?
Absolutely. Till this day, I still had those thoughts, especially not even just being in PG County, period, but just being in like your hometown, period. So the whole DMV. Because I feel like you get hated the most in your own city, which is completely crazy to me because that's literally where you start. That's where your supporters start from. So to be hated in your own city, it's so crazy. Like, I'm still scared when I'm home, but when I'm out of town, I know I'm good. But when I'm home, because you just never know like who really has ill intentions to you and want to hurt you.
And because of that, why haven't you permanently left out of town?
My family is the reason why I haven't left. Those are my hearts, but I'm ready. I am ready. They know I'm ready. It's just, the next step. But it's going to be happening soon because I got to go.
And do you still remain in Montgomery County to this very moment?
No.
Care to share what age that was when you left that county?
18?
Right after you graduate high
Yes,
school?
right after I graduated.
And did you go back to PG County?
No, I went back to DC.
Got it. And that's where you remain currently.
Well, I'm back in PG County now, but yeah.
Now, be that as it may, knowing what you know now, hypothetically speaking, what would you have said to your younger self back then, if anything?
Go with your gut, because a woman's intuition is so powerful. There were so many situations where my stomach would literally turn before I did something I knew I had no business doing. And right after I did it, that's when something bad would happen. But trusting my intuition, definitely believing in myself, and trying to find who I am as a person earlier on, because I felt like I didn't know who I really was until I actually graduated high school. So going through my high school years, I feel like I was still trying to find myself, and I was looking for myself in other people, and that's why it was so hard for me to do. So to my younger self, I would say trust your intuition, believe in yourself, and let me say one more thing. Be yourself, because I was not being myself either.
Okay, now moving forward with the original question in mind, on the opposite end of the spectrum, what was your top point for you during your upbringing in PG County?
So this is when was I in PG County during this time? No, I had just transitioned to Montgomery County, but I was still in Maryland. So my top point was when I had filmed a prank call video. And I filmed this video just for laughs and giggles. I didn't really think it was going to be anything serious, but this video reached 1 million views in a matter of 3 days. It caught me so off guard because, like I said, it was just for laughs and giggles. The quality of my camera was crazy. The audio was crazy, but people loved me as a person and they loved the video. So that's literally what spiked my channel up. And I just kept doing prank calls after that, and then it just continued to grow.